everybody, how's it going? Christian Apple here for another episode of Grave Time here at the Old City Cemetery in Sacramento, California, downtown Sacramento. Today we are at the grave of Mark Hopkins Jr., one of the founders of the railroad system, one of the big four. Not five, four. Now, this is my third attempt to film this video without the batteries dying or the wind knocking down my camera or just weird things happening as I'm in a cemetery by myself with 1,000 people buried here next to me. Not that anything fishy's going on here, I'm just saying some things just happen and you just don't know why. So let's try this again, shall we? So I got my notes and we are here. Oh, got my train hat on today. A couple years back I was a Union Pacific Railroad operator for Halloween because I was just too fat to fit into my Santa Claus costume, which I normally wear for Halloween. So got my shades on because it's a hot day, it's bright outside, and I need to be able to read my notes here. So let's go ahead and start here. Mark Hopkins Jr., born September 1st, 1813, died March 29th, 1878. 64 years old. I tell you, 64 years old, and there's a fly. Of course, I can't do this 100% without mistakes, right? That's what they call it, DIY. Hopkins was born here in America. Kudos to you. Hopkins quit school to work as a clerk, then studied law with his brother Henry. Later, he became a bookkeeper, and then became a manager for James Rowland and Co. Co as in company. Hopkins hired 26 men for his mining company during the California Gold Rush. You see, Mr. Hopkins was from New York. He moved to California with 26 men and hired them to do mining for him, for gold, because everyone had gold fever in the mid-1800s during the gold rush. 1849, I believe, to 50 something. Everyone had this want for this gold. They knew it was money, basically. They knew it was gold money. So anywho, he opened a store. He opened a store in Hangtown, aka Placerville, California, only to move to Sacramento, that is. It was a wholesale grocery store in 1850 with his friend E.H. Miller. Now keep in mind that name in mind, H.E. Miller, the name Miller, because later on this guy Miller ends up being part of one of the big four who are the founders of the Transcontinental Railroad System, aka the railroad system. The Central Pacific Railroad System. Anywho, let's see. In 1854, Hopkins married his first cousin, Mary Sherwood, at a Presbyterian church. Now, I guess back in those days, it was okay to marry your cousin. Today it's kind of seen as like a redneck thing, or unless your name is Jerry Lewis. Jerry Lee Lewis, I should say. Great Balls of Fire, played the piano. He married his cousin too. So, amazing man of talent, just wanted to marry his cousin. I don't know. So, I guess that's what Mr. Hopkins decided to do. He wanted to marry his cousin. And the church that he was originally associated with had ties to Britain, and in Britain, I guess you couldn't do that. So, he got married in a Presbyterian church, which was, I guess, a little bit more loose, or maybe even a little bit more liberal for those time periods. In 1855, the Huntington, Hopkins and Company started their iron business in Sacramento, that is. I should make a small, minor thing here. I said, was it H.E. Miller? Scrap that name. It wasn't Miller. It's a guy by the name of Huntington. Hopkins in 1861 was part of the team of men known as the Big Four, the birth of the Central Pacific Railroad. I'm trying to read my notes. And the names of the other three men Leland Stanford, Charles Crocker, and Collis Huntington. Now Huntington, whom he had an iron business with here in Sacramento. So those two are already great pals, great friends. Some little side notes about Mark Hopkins Jr. He was a penny pincher. When it came to spending money, he had to be the one that had to overlook everything, because he wanted to make sure that every little cent went where it was supposed to. But at the same time, he was a hoarder of money. He was a penny pincher, very frugal. He was very much against slavery, and for that time period is a very interesting thing, because the railroad system, they didn't just have natural everyday folks. They had all sorts of types of people that helped build the railroad system. You had Chinese immigrants that were slaves. You had black immigrants from Africa that were slaves. So I find it interesting that he was against slavery, and yet to know that the railroads were built on slavery. As sad as that is, and as I know that some people are so heartbroken by that, it's American history, and that's just how it is. And you know, these people that try to rewrite history because they want everything to be politically correct are the same stupid people that try to say that the Holocaust never happened. Well, screw you. Learn about your history. Stop being stupid and ignorant, and stop trying to be politically correct. Alright, now I'm off my soapbox. Let me get back to these notes here. He was an organizer of the Republican Party here in California, one of the key figures of the Republican Party when it was being established here in California. Well, this would make sense. Him and his wife obviously never had kids, which is a good thing if you're marrying someone who has got the same bloodline and DNA as you, such as a cousin. But they ended up adopting a son, or adopting a boy who was who's related to their housekeeper. Their housekeeper was a man, I can't remember his name, and his son ended up being adopted by the Hopkins family. Let's see, when Hopkins died, he had no will. However, his wife Mary got his $20 to $40 million that he had saved. He was, like I said, penny pincher. He had a lot of money. Eventually, she got remarried. There was kind of a mini scandal with like property, and then in the very end, when she died, the adopted son had spent I think 12 years, I believe it was, to regain his inheritance by his adopted parents, which is very sad. It took so long, and but anywho, that is the story of Mark Hopkins Jr. Let's go check out his grave, okay? This here is his grave. It is massive, and we're gonna go ahead and take a walk up there right now. Once again, this is Christian Apple, and you are watching Grave Time, and we are here at the Old City Cemetery in Sacramento. It is the biggest cemetery in the heart of Sacramento. The original outline of Sacramento is from that way, which would be the Sacramento River all the way to 10th Street. And then from Broadway to A Street, that is, as in my last name, Apple. Those are the original grid of downtown Sacramento. And so now we're going to go ahead and take this driveway up here to the grave of Mr. Mark Hopkins and pay our respects. And for all of you out there who would like to see at least one of the graves of the Big Four, one of the key figures, one of the oldest men that was part of the Transcontinental Railroad. And here we go. So Hopkins, as you can see, is buried here, and along with someone else. I don't know who that is. Massive tomb here. You got these stairs to go up, and flower bed and everything. It is a beautiful day out here on a Sunday. It's about 92 here in Sacramento, downtown Sacramento. I was just out in Elk Grove visiting with my aunt. It was 88 degrees out there. I'm not sure why it's 92 in downtown when we're so close to the river. And there is a nice delta breeze today. As you can see that this is a very large cemetery. Lots of key figures buried here, besides Mr. Hopkins. Lots of well-known people that helped establish the early part of California during the gold rush and whatnot. So yeah, this is pretty much it here. The grave of Mark Hopkins Jr., who actually it's interesting, he didn't know that he was a junior until right before he died, because his dad had passed away when he was at a very young age, and he didn't know that he was named after his father, which is a very interesting thing. I guess people didn't keep records like that, I guess, back in the days like they do today. So anyways, folks, put you right up here next to the bird poop, and as you can see, me and Christian Apple right here in the Old City Cemetery here in downtown Sacramento, saying thank you so much for watching these vlogs. Please tell all your friends, please subscribe, please comment. If there's graves in California you want me to go check out, please let me know. As California is a very large state, I only have so much time, only so much money. I'm not here to beg for money or anything like that. Plus I don't have any way of you giving me money for gas or batteries for my camera. But it's just an honor. It's a nice hobby. It helps me get out of the house, helps me lose some weight, and build some confidence, get my brain working, learning about American history. And I just thank you so much for watching, and I just love the cemetery. It's so beautiful. I used to come here quite a bit and just hang out here, just relax. That's what a cemetery should be for. It should be a place to learn history, mourn, relax, and I don't know, it's not a place to get drunk at, not a place to be partaking in weird spiritualisms or even knocking over people's tombstones. Those are a no-no. But I just enjoy coming to these cemeteries and learning about the people that are here, and like I always say, I'm not gothic, and I'm not ghost hunting, and I'm not practicing witchcraft. I'm just here I'm just an interested person in this stuff. So to Mr. Hopkins Jr., toot toot. That's my attempt to sound like a train. I have a train whistle at home, but I couldn't find it. But I found my trusty train hat. Anyways, thank you for watching Grave Time, and please tell your friends about this episode, because I do feel that this was a really good, solid one, and I didn't get all my words jumbled up. Thank you for watching. Bye.